What's up, guys? Joe here, the man who told Zagreus he could escape from the underworld, and I'm here to talk about UFC Fight Night, Sandhagen versus Song. It was just a bloody night. So, enough talk. Let's get to the fights. And in our main event of the evening, we had Song Yadong versus Cory Sandhagen at bantamweight. Oh, the best division. The best division, to me, at least. This main event was wild. Early on, the movement of Sandhagen I thought was really good. And I thought it was just doing him wonders. But Song Yadong did land some big shots from time to time. And as time progressed, though, I thought Sandhagen looked pretty solid on the feet. I thought he was winning the fight on the feet. He landed a nasty elbow that split. It was left eye. So here, it was awful. In the best way, of course. It was really good. It was like a missed jab, and then he turned it over and just clobbered him. It was awesome. But Song Yadong did get a takedown. It was after the elbow. So Sandhagen did try to take him down. He couldn't really do it. But Song Yadong was able to get the takedown. Training with Team Alpha Male, it makes sense that he would have this wrestling in his back pocket. But it was just like all the blood was just going all over the place. All over. It wasn't quite like Luke Rockhold and Paulo Costa. But it was pretty awesome. It looked like just a collage painting just getting thrown. You know, like those paintings where you dip your brush in the paint and you just flick it like your canvas. It kind of felt like that to me. It was a beautiful nightmare of gore. And as we all know, I'm kind of sick, so I loved it. The left eye was swelling up big time for Song, and the cut was getting worse. This damage from the elbow was just getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Eventually, they go into the championship rounds or the main event rounds. Probably should call it main event rounds. I feel like people still call it the championship rounds, even when it's on a fight night. So let's just call it the main event rounds. I think I'm going to try and force that. Maybe it'll stick. But going into the fifth round, the doctor took a look at it. It was like, this is over. Doctor even goes and whispers awkwardly into Irving's ear and is like, I don't like this at all. Oh. And that's it. I want to talk a lot about the cut, but there was another bloody one with another crazy cut on this card, so I'm going to wait until after that. But Cory Sandhagen gets the win in the main event, and I'm a big Sandhagen fan. I'm glad to see him get a win here. I think he's the real third best bantamweight in the division. I would love to see the Aljamain Sterling rematch, despite what happened in their first fight. I'd love to see the Jan rematch. I think he beat Dillashaw. I think a lot of people agree with me. I think he beat Dillashaw. I thought that was just a bad decision, but it is what it is. But he needs a dance partner now. So we're past this moment. I thought this was good matchmaking. He needs a dance partner. I think I got someone. I got two people, really, but I want to see one more than the other. Chito Vera. Chito Vera, Sandhagen sounds awesome. Chito Vera, impossible to stop. Sandhagen feels like he stops everybody. At least right now. He's how he's kind of come into his own. It's definitely something. And both guys are just a blast to watch, and I think that sounds great. The other one is Marab, but that doesn't sound nearly as much fun, so let's ignore I ever said that one. But then, for Song Yadong, I feel like this was kind of like a coming out party for him, because he's been knocking dudes out. As much as I love him, and I'm not trying to disrespect him at all. Marlon Moraes, he knocked out recently. We kind of knew Moraes was done, but I think I have a pick for a guy that I know people have called shot, but he's definitely still really, really, really good. And I might have a fight coming up, so if I'm wrong, I didn't look this up. This was a last minute addition to my notes. So feel free to call me out. But I think Rob Font would be fantastic for Song Yadong. That's just me, though. I think those two guys would put on a great show. That could main event a fight night for me, or it could be an opener for a UFC main card, and I would be all there. Honestly, but in fairness, if there's a bantamweight fight on a main card, I'm there. So, but it's just me. But let's get to our co-main event of the evening, the fight everyone's probably talking about the most, and it was Gregory RoboCop Rodrigues versus Chito Injikawani. So this fight was just wild. It was ridiculous. Both dudes, they feel like they're Twitter prospects, right? And because both dudes are just talked about a ton on Twitter. Friend of the show, or friend of the channel, John Martian MMA on Twitter, he loves RoboCop. I want to give a big shout out to him because I liked RoboCop before, but hearing him talk about RoboCop all the time, I was like, I only like the first movie. Maybe I should check. I'm kidding. But I went and like rewatched a lot of his fights, and I was like, oh, you know what? This guy is awesome. This guy is a blast. I'm definitely all in on this guy with him. I think this guy's. I don't know if I think he's as high of a prospect ceiling, but I definitely am just enjoying his fights. And sometimes that's all I kind of need on some level. But to their credit, despite me saying that they're just loved by Twitter, that's not a negative thing at all. I think that's a positive, actually, because both these guys are great. They're fun to watch. They're fantastic prospects, and I love it. And early on, Injikawani was getting the better of RoboCop. A big, nasty knee as, like, RoboCop was either changing levels or going for, like, a straight to the body. I can't remember which. I think he was going for a straight to the body, but it cut and it split and gave him, like, a unibrow, in a sense. Like how I would probably describe it for someone that hasn't seen it. He gave him a unibrow. He turned him into Anthony Davis, or more accurately, he gave him a visor, like his namesake says. It was insane. And I thought the first round, Injikawani was winning. I thought he was winning the first round, but RoboCop did hurt him. Still, Injikawani first round. Second round, though, they don't stop it. The doctor takes a look at it. Okay, we're good to go. Okay. Second round. Let's go. And RoboCop hurts him. But this time, the cardio was in his favor. As Injikawani starting to slow down, trying to go for the finish in the first round. And RoboCop's still right there. So he gets top position, and he just pours it on for a bloody TKO victory. Great showing by both guys. Rodrigues does move on, though. And now for cut talk. I'm not a doctor, and I've been sick, but a friend of mine came over, a friend of ours, me and my best friend, he lives with me, a friend of ours came over to hang out with him, so I was out there watching the fights with him, and he is a paramedic, he's an EMT, and so me and him were talking about this, and I see people talking about this on Twitter, so I wanted to give my 2 cents, and kind of what he was telling me. This cut was probably, it was bad. But looking at how the blood was flowing, it was purely cosmetic. It's not going to get any deeper. I think his big fear was infection, but with like sterilization in MMA, he wasn't sure how big that could be. Whereas in the main event, it was a lot worse because it was swelling up as well. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel like on Twitter I've seen people say that it's unfair to Song Yadong to get his fight called off when they could have called off this fight. Well, that's different because both times the doctor did look at both of them. When Song Yadong got the fight called on him for the eye, that was the second time, maybe the third time the doctor was in there. I'm pretty sure it's the second time. Whereas the doctor only looked at the Rodrigues one once and did give him an opportunity to keep going despite it. And it wasn't impeding his vision, I felt like, personally. And so did my friend who's an EMT. He was like, it's bad, but it is what it is. Just kind of how it goes. And the reason I wanted to point this out is because, I can make my 2 cents. It's kind of what I'm here for. But primarily, I'm always a guy who preaches about fighter safety. And so I'm hoping I'm not like sounding like a hypocrite because I'm very pro fighter safety. But the cuts feel differently to me than an instance of like throwing the towel in standardized. I think that should be accepted more. But this cut, it's a little different because there's like a third party guy that comes in the doctor that has to determine it. And a guy could be winning but have a nasty cut, like just a bad cut. And like a crazy hypothetical is if like let's say the knee happened to Marvin Eastman. And then, but he didn't get knocked out. He won that round, was winning the second round, but they stopped it going into the third. That's kind of a big controversy if he had that same cut, and because that's his money and an L on his record that's being added, and especially when the UFC doesn't pay people. So I just kind of hope as a community, but feel free to talk about it in the comments. I'm curious what you guys think, because it's always something I'm like definitely interested in, what people's thoughts are on doctor stoppages of this nature. But for the rest of the card, it was all right. The one thing I wanted to talk about was Andre Fili's awkward split decision win over Bill Algeo. I thought Bill Algeo, ton of heart. He didn't get choked out in the third round. But I'm definitely unsure how that's a split decision. Like, what in what round? Who gives him 2 rounds? I'm not calling you out if you did give him 2 rounds. I'm not going to be that guy. But definitely curious. Definitely curious how you feel. Fluffy Hernandez spiked, and I'm going to butcher his name, so I apologize. Marc-André Barillon. I think I got it. I think I nailed it. But he spiked him into the mat. Oh, it was so nasty. I think it damaged the mat, too, is what people were saying on Twitter. Awesome. Oh, my God. So cool. Great arm triangle win. Pretty brutal stuff, though. And Gillian Robertson had a nasty, like, I'm talking the Thing defibrillator scene. Nasty. And if you don't know, you go watch it. Over Maria Agapova. Just amazing. Comeback for the first round, because Gillian was definitely losing the first round. But in the second round, she gets the back, gets the rear naked choke. Agapova doesn't tap, and it's a brutal finish. If you're a sick person like me, I'll admit it. Go look up that finish. It's gnarly. Oof. Crazy stuff. Made me even wince. But that's all I got on the night. Pretty solid card, honestly. I missed the early prelims because I woke up late. Been a little sick. I apologize. So I watched a lot of those fights later on. Didn't have too many notes for them, despite the fact that I definitely could have, because they were actually really good stuff for the most part. I didn't catch the main card, though. It was fantastic stuff, like I talked about. But be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the channel. And I won't be back next week, but there's no fights. But in October 1st, Mackenzie Dern fights, and I'm actually looking forward to that. I'll just leave it at that. But I will be back then, and I'll recap the video. And if you miss me, if you truly miss me, which we all know everybody does, then you can go to the main channel where I've been have all these retro reviews out. I definitely love doing them. Go check them out. I did the recent one last week, or it came out last week for UFC 69 GSP Matt Serra. So much fun. It was so much fun doing it. Shout out once again to Gage, who is the newest editor for the retro review series. That was his first video. I thought he did a fantastic job. But anyways, I'm Joe with the INC. Thank you for watching.